Welcome back to the MMA show here on Slothboxx. I am today's host, James Lupton. I'm joined, as always, with co-host Jack McGann, fresh from Saudi Arabia. Jack, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, very good time, mate.
Good.
Let's start there with Saudi Arabia. What an experience. Um, how was it? How was the whole week?
Honest to God, the week was the week was incredible. It'll be a week that I remember forever and the team. And I know that there's been like pictures and stuff, and you hear stories about, and you can see stories of how it was, but you just won't understand what it was like unless you were there. You know what I mean? It was insane from literally the second we stepped off the plane until we got home. So it was, yeah, it was amazing. And then stuff kept getting added onto the story as we went.
Talk to me about the build-up, first of all. It seemed to be a massive production, even for the weigh-in and the media workouts and things like that. What was that all like to be a part of?
As I said, it's incredible, and it won't get replicated anywhere else. I mean that as in, I've been on big shows, I've seen big shows, but Shane Fury said this on an interview and he hit the nail on the head. He said, if any other production and promotion, sorry, put that production on, they'd lose money because it costs that much. But it's not about making money on the show. That is an advert for Saudi Arabia. That's an advert saying, look how amazing this place is. That's why it was done the way it was done. So I said before I went, I was trying to get myself ready for prepare myself to like what kind of stuff they come up with. But I just thought, no, it's best just to have an open mind and just get ready for the crazy stuff they throw at us. And as I said, the second we got off the plane, it was like we were getting police escorts everywhere, and um, just all little bits. Everybody there, so nice and accommodating. And then like because it's in the desert, they've got like these skyscrapers just popping up like randomly every couple of like blocks. But you so we landed off the plane, and it was straight away. It was like you need to go to the red carpet now to the opening ceremony, and we're driving through and everything's flat and there's not much there, and then all of a sudden there's this big massive um block of buildings with these lights going to the heavens, and that was the red carpet thing. So straight away it was just like this is what you're in for this week, and it just kept growing and building from there.
Let's talk about fight night itself. Saturday night performance was fantastic. Knockout of the night by yourself.
Mhm.
Um, how did it feel to get the victory in that manner on that stage?
It was that I said this a few times. It was like it's one thing to win, but you need to the fight games always based around performances because you can get a win and you can get a win. You can scrape a win and then you can smash it and then the next day looks a lot different. Even if even though both instances you still want to fight, you know what I mean. So performance is I'm always big on performance, and I knew that I had to put a performance in for this one, for the stage it was. Um, I didn't go looking for it or anything, but it was just I trained that hard and I was in a really good place. And I always say, what's been happening in the gym is what'll happen in the fight. And in the gym, I was catching people, I was hitting people, I was flying. So it wasn't a surprise that it happened again on Saturday.
Do you feel the stage you was on brought out the best in you as well?
Yeah, I'm definitely um if history going off my history, I'm definitely a big night fighter. I do best on all my best performances on the big nights when the lights are the brightest and the lights were the brightest they've ever been on Saturday. And I
Absolutely.
just think, sorry to cut it off, but I just think even the stuff like I knew everything was riding on it, and then I knew everyone was watching, and then Chuck Liddell walked me out, and it was like this has to go right here. Do you know what I mean? It was the way it went was the only way it could have went really.
Definitely. You mentioned Chuck Liddell, as I'll come on to him next. We're going to talk a little bit about Chuck. Now, for me personally, growing up when I was younger, Chuck Liddell was the one guy. He was the face of the UFC for me when I was a kid. What was Chuck Liddell like for yourself when you was growing up, obviously training and watching
The,
MMA?
the, the exact same. You know, I'm a knockout artist. He's one of the original ones. He was just amazing to watch. He was the face of the UFC for so long in the early days when it was raw, and it was he was the man. So it was just so that's what I'm talking about with that experience last week was just so surreal. And then it's like, yeah, Chuck's gonna walk it out. Um, and what a man he was as well. He was such a nice person, and one thing I liked about him, he really got into it as well. It wasn't like he was just there because he got asked, and he was like doing a job for someone. It was he really got into it, and then I performed and got a knockout. And I said to him afterwards, I was like, Chuck was always famous for knocking people out going backwards, and that was kind of on the back foot. So I said that was like one of yours, that. So maybe Chuck gave me a bit of Iceman magic and got me that result. But yeah, it was just so special. But I said to him before we went out, because we couldn't really, we had our own changing rooms, like our own little container, a big massive thing, and it was just ours. But I couldn't really. I'm fighting in a minute. I couldn't sit there gabbing to Chuck, even though I was like being a fangirl. So I said to him after the win, come back to change 5 minutes, please. And he did, and he ended up walking me out with the belt. Was made up on the videos and stuff because he had fun. And then, because I'm pretty sure as a knockout artist, he appreciates a nice knockout as well. And he was getting into it. And then afterwards, he come back to changes and was with us for like 40 minutes or something. So all in, he was with us for about an hour and a half. And that was like the icing on the cake for the whole week.
You mentioned there, like, you wanted him to come back. You couldn't talk to him beforehand and fangirl a little bit, sort of thing. As you grew up, obviously through your dad in the gym and things like that, you've met, these big names in MMA and things like that. Was you a little bit starstruck at Chuck Liddell?
About as close. I don't think I get starstruck by anyone really. I just don't think, nothing to do with my history. I just think that's just me. I'm not really. I just take people for what they are. But that was pretty close, yeah. But no, it wasn't that. It was more like I had Chuck there and I wanted to speak to him and just and have a bit more time with him, but I couldn't because I had to just stay switched on because I'm fighting someone in a minute. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I said to him, when after the win, Chuck, come back to changes for a minute, and he ended up staying for a while, and I was speaking to him for um, he was part of the team for the night.
When did you find out that he was walking you out to the ring?
It was meant to be a surprise, but my dad told me because he can't hold his own piss. So he told me, and then Alfie, me manager, and that told me. But yeah, I was just amazed. I seen him at the gala meal the day before, at that big meal with you see the big picture with all the champions and stuff. I seen him at that and just shook his hands and that, and then the next day he was doing that. So it was a crazy week.
I mean, how can you top that moment now? Being walked out to the ring by Chuck Liddell, and again on that stage, that performance. How are you going to top it?
God knows. Probably will though out there in Saudi. I think they can do anything, but it'll take some topping. I'd no, but it was just like, if you would have told me a couple of weeks ago no, you know what? Even when the fight was on, if you would have told me last week that was gonna happen fight night, I wouldn't have believed you. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Not never mind never mind me career and as a fighter, just as me as a man, and from my own memories, that week was one of the best weeks in my life.
Absolutely. Just quickly, one last thing on yourself, Jack, before we move on to the main event from Saturday night. British title, that seems to be potentially the next fight for yourself. You line up a big 2024.
Yeah.
Just how big is next year for you in your career?
Massive. It's just gone from strength to strength since COVID, and I've come back. It's just exponentially been growing and building, and that's as you said there. I'm mandatory for the British now. The purse bids are in 8 days or something like that. So on the 8th of November, we find out when and where, but that's next, and I'm looking forward to the sort of challenge in my career, which it'll certainly be, but also the biggest rewards in my career. So I'm looking forward to that next step.
Do you think, looking back on your boxing career so far, your pro debut was on the undercard of Tyson Fury? Then obviously, we've had obviously COVID, we had all this bits and pieces going on, and you've gone on to your small hall shows. Did you think that you'd be back here again on a Tyson Fury undercard of this magnitude?
Not that one. Maybe not now. But when you say about going back to the small hall shows and stuff, we've sort of done it that way through choice. It's like I could have probably pushed and got with the promoter and whatever, but we've done it through me sponsor Samantha Hutchinson, who I'm an ambassador for her organisation, the Power and One. We've done it through her backing. We've covered the cost of the opponents, and we've just ended up fighting on small shows. So we got a little bit more control. And now I'm sitting here as a free agent, just fought on that big show and managed for the British. I'm in a great place. So it wasn't like I got stuck in the water and I was kept fighting on little shows. We just chose to do it that way, and it paid off. It was a bit of a risk. But yeah, it paid off. But as far as like fighting on that show and then managed for the British straight after and stuff, no, I probably wouldn't predict it would have went as smooth as that.
You mentioned the gamble it could have been and a risk that you could take in there in your career. It's now paying off, like you say. But how big of a gamble is that to take, so early in your career to decide to go and do that and that route?
As in what, switch to boxing or to do it the way we've done it?
Do the way you've done it, go through the small hall and the free agencies and things like that.
Do you know what, with the experience that my dad's got, Alfie Warren is my manager, my dad's got a lot, he's forgot more than what people know. Most people know with being a manager, an ex-manager in MMA and stuff. So I think it looks like a risk. It is a risk, but he's extremely calculated, and from the sidelines he can put his ideas in, and he just had another conversation with Alfie and said maybe we do it this way and whatever, and it worked, and it's played off pretty much how they've said, apart from the few pullouts and stuff that we've had and stuff like that what you can't control. But no, yeah, you're right. It is still a risk, and it's all a risk, really, isn't it? You can play it safe with the promoters and do whatever where you want, but it's fighting. It's a risk. I could go out there, get sick, fight weak, fight shite, and not put in a good performance. Then I've just set myself back a year, and even the way we can come right. So it's the fight game. It's risky business.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the main event from Saturday night. It was a big spectacular event. Obviously, Francis Ngannou come over. Nobody expected him to have any real boxing ability, yet he did put on a good performance for a professional boxing debut. What did you make of Ngannou?
Oh, he was fantastic. First of all, I watched it. I was so tired. It was like 2 o'clock. I think they made the ring walk at 1 o'clock by the time he started fighting. It was quarter to 2. Um, I fought at like 5 o'clock, and I had the adrenaline dump and everything else. So I was sitting like watching it like with eyes like piss holes in the snow. But it was I had to watch it back, but it was so exciting. And the thing about Ngannou is, I think we got a really bad Tyson and the best Ngannou's ever been, which is I did predict that. I did say you've got a man who's been competing at the highest level in MMA, even though it's a different sport. But the structure of the UFC, the way there's not like 10 belts. There's just one. That's it. If you're the heavyweight champion UFC, you're the heavyweight champion of the world. So he's been competing at the highest level for years, and now he's putting his head to boxing where he doesn't worry about 10 other things. It's just boxing. All that focus is getting pinpointed to one place, and he's really switched his mind on. And I was saying, if there's one person, if you look at Ngannou as a man and the stuff he's overcome, there's one person who can give you the Cinderella moment, it's him. And that's what we got. So I was watching it and I was like, even I think a few things paid off for him. Like, he's got very long arms, he's so strong. I don't think Tyson budged. I think maybe Tyson had it in his head, he'd be able to hurt him or whatever, because of the way he's been wrecking people recently. It just didn't seem like he budged him, and he hit him clean a good few times. So you had Ngannou who wasn't fearful of getting hurt, probably felt Tyson's power. He was throwing, he's got these dead long arms, he was throwing these looping shots sometimes that were coming like in weird places in the head, like that one that put him over. And then, but when you look at him when he was throwing, like, sometimes he was stepping forward with like a double jab right hand over, a jab upstairs, then jab down. But his form when he done it was perfect, like really, really good. It wasn't like flaily or swingy or all over the place. His technique was good. So I think we got a bad Tyson for whatever reason. No one knows. Might have just been because he was in front of a guy no one's seen box before, who's really strong and he couldn't really move. And then you got a Ngannou who was an unknown um, quantity coming in with nothing to lose, and all them parts put together was just what we got on Saturday. I think that one thing I would say when you're watching it, like when Tyson went down, for the pure shock of it, I stood up with on my jaw near at the floor because I just couldn't believe it. I've never been so shocked in my whole life off something. And in hindsight, I don't know why, because they're heavyweights at the end of the day, and Tyson's only a man. He's been down before, but still, I never thought Ngannou would have been able to do that. But so then I think when you're watching it from that point on, and Ngannou's loading up the way he is, I think it's hard to not like just look at it as, oh, if Ngannou catches him again, that's it, it's going to be done. And you sort of stop. I wasn't really watching it as like scoring the fight anymore. I was just watching it, waiting to see if he could catch him. So his father scoring the fight, but then if you look back, I do think that Fury was definitely landing more than Ngannou. So I don't think it was a robbery. It was pretty close fight, like, but I'm not a judge. What do you think?
I thought it was
Sorry, it's Halloween, by the way, and there's all kids shot outside. They're all excited.
trick or treat is knocking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the same as you. I think obviously Fury did land more shots. For those where I think it's more a shock factor. Like you say, a lot of people
Yeah.
like to jump on the robbery bandwagon at times and say, "Well, hang on a minute, he should have won because of this." But there's other factors go into it, and not only that, like you mentioned, you're not a judge. I'm not a judge. How do judges look at it? Because they're all different. It's down to their own perception of the fight. Do they like the aggressor? Do they like the more defensive fighter? Make this. So that's got to come into factor as well. And obviously, each judge will score it differently for those reasons. For me, it was still a Fury win, but like you say, it was the shock factor. Nobody expected Ngannou to really put a dent in Tyson at all, especially after the videos of the pad work and working with Mike Tyson. Ngannou didn't look very good in these small clips that we saw. But
Yeah, that's one thing. Everyone jumped all over him. I've been told by someone in the past. I went to the gym. I was sparring one of their lads, and I sparred really well because I do in spars. But when they watch me warm up on pads, they come over and was like, "Oh, if you watch on the pads or the bikes, you don't look like you much, and then you get in there and you're good." So I don't know whether it was just he was just pretending to be slow or whatever. He probably was, but which is fucking dead clever. But I didn't go much off that. I just said for the way go, you haven't seen him. How can you? It's like you saying, it's like you looking at a menu and then just saying that's gonna taste like that just because it tells you what it is. You don't know. You haven't even seen it. Never mind smell it or anything. You don't know. You just look at the menu. That's what it says. You haven't seen it. You can't judge. It's not even judging the book by a cover because you haven't even seen the cover. Do you know what I mean? So I just said like you just can't call it till you see it. But I think that yeah, Ngannou lost, but as he
well, he
like
stopped
he's
that.
getting yeah now he's getting offers for they're looking at doing AJ. I've heard AJ Wilder. I said when I was watching it because they're similar sort of. I was like I'd love to see him fight Wilder. AJ Wilder. I've seen Zhang. So I was as he lost, and then you've got um yeah I do think Tyson did win. He did, but it wasn't like a shutout. He hadn't down. He hasn't lost anything. Stock's just gone through the roof. So especially on his debut, and it was a 10 rounder. I said one of the big things going into it, 'cause obviously having doing both. One of the big things I seen when I switched over was when you go up in the rounds to like eights, tens, and then 12s. That's when it really hits you. It's like McGregor and Mayweather. McGregor was fine till I got to like the eighth, and then he got really tired. Obviously, he's in with the best in the world, but that's just what I think. And he even dealt with that, and yet not much was happening some of the rounds, but still, just for the shit, for the stuff he had to go through and get over. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
Is it, in your opinion, or to your memory, the best professional debut?
Yeah, because when did you ever get someone making a debut fighting someone like that at that level? When I made my debut, I used all my MMA experience and was like, I don't need to fight a proper journeyman. So we took a decent fight, a guy on over 6 rounds, and I knock, and like I had a great debut, but still like if it, even to make your debut, if you were to make your debut against the journeyman and they're like, okay, you're doing 10 rounds, that's massive. That's what I'm saying. So it is. It's the greatest debut it's ever been. It's one of the greatest feats in sports, I'd say, because it is. You can't call it anything else. You just literally the jumping in at the deep end and then the jumping in with jaws. Do you know what I mean? That's what he done, and he done it with a smile on his face. Wasn't budged once, and um, literally they had the entire world saying, "Got no chance." And some like myself might have said, "Well, it's not like he's got no chance. He's got a little chance," but still, everyone's saying, "No way," and he done it. So even to be that mentally strong is just incredible.
We know he's signed to PFL and MMA, but does Ngannou have a future in boxing?
Yeah, 100%. I think PFL being the um after seeing that, like surely if he goes and fights Joshua or Wilder and gets a load of million again, well, that'd be more beneficial for PFL because surely that makes more money than him going and doing a MMA fight with another heavyweight. So they take their cut however they do it. Business wise, that's better for them as well. He can do what he wants. But I do think um I'd I, I'd rather see him. I can't speak for everyone else, but me, I'd rather see him box again than have an MMA fight.
Another thing come out as well after the fight was the president of the WBC, Maurizio Sullivan. He said that he will recommend Francis Ngannou to be ranked in the top 10 of the heavyweights. Now, somebody who has gone to pro boxing like yourself and has worked your way up the rankings and into title contention, how does that make you feel? Do you feel he's deserving of that, or is it purely because of his reputation and his star power?
I can see why people might say, "Oh, he's jumped the queue," but how can you argue it? He's just done 10 rounds with the best heavyweight on the planet, and um, not only give a good account of himself. Some people are saying, "Oh, but it was a close fight. He had him down." So he does belong. Of course, he belongs there because if he didn't belong in the top 10, it would have just been a whitewash. So even if we did get a bad Tyson on the night, we still got an Ngannou who could definitely hang with the top 10 guys. So I get it, like, and maybe if he was in like I don't know one position below him and he jumped. Say you need to get to 10 to get a world title. I think that's what it is, or top 50. I don't know. And you're 10 and he just knocked you off, then yeah, you'd be fuming. But apart from that specific instance, I don't see how you can argue with the feat he's just accomplished. It's like something out of a film. It is. It shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have happened.
Definitely. One thing you mentioned earlier, Jack, was about being an MMA fighter and having all these different things that you've got to worry about. Whereas it's gone to boxing and it's just punching, it's just your striking. You're not worried about anything else, not worried about being taken down, the wrestling, any other aspect of the sport at all. When you transitioned, did that make your life easier, or is it hard to stick to the discipline of just the one?
No, it wasn't hard to stick to the discipline because I'd always sparred professional boxers in just boxing in preparation for my MMA fights. So I just kept that going. But it was it is different. I don't. Here's what I say, and I say this still to this day. They're just two completely different things. You cannot compare the two sports. You can take things from each other, but it's like MMA. MMA, you stood in a 32-foot cage, 30-foot cage. You stood at the kicking range 6 feet from each other. There's hardly any strikes per round compared to boxing. There's so many other things you can do. You can spend 5 minutes having someone's back where there's not a punch getting thrown. You're just wrestling. You can have a fight where there hasn't been a punch thrown. and it's still dead entertaining. To be honest, they're just two different, completely different things. But I think the transition for me, it in my MMA fights, I was box wrestle in that order. Box yeah, as you want to take me down, I'd wrestle my way back to my feet and just box it again. So I was basically doing that anyway. I could kick a knee and do everything else, but I liked using my hands. Um, so yeah, it was easy for me to switch. And I think Ngannou the same. I don't think he's like the biggest kicker or nothing like that. And it probably was a bit of a breath of fresh air to change over. One thing I would say, as far as training goes, it's so much easier on your body just training for boxing. So much easier on your body, but it's tougher. Like the spars are well harder because it's so intense. Because all that's happening, you're getting punched. Um, and as long as you got someone who's fit and you just keep coming, um, the damage that you take and give out is a lot more. So they're just so different.
What about in terms of the training aspect? You say it's easier to train boxing alone. What about the rest and the recovery? Do you feel better just by you punching?
Um, yeah, yeah. Like that's one thing I noticed when I was just doing boxing. After a while, I was waking up, my neck wasn't killing, my back, like all up here wasn't. It was nice, but um, at the same time, it's like I do think I train harder now. Maybe that's just with age, or maybe that's just with. I don't mean that because I got older. I just mean because I switched on a bit more because um the competition's going up and everything. But I think that, and because like you are just doing one discipline, everybody's better. The talent's a lot deeper. The talent pool because it is just one thing. Everyone's an expert. They're not like spinning plates. Everyone's just really good at boxing. It's not like oh he's good at that. He's good at that. He's good at this. Um, it is just one thing. So I think it brings you on, but it's just it's just so different.
Last question, Jack, for yourself. You mentioned Ngannou signed a PFL. If he sticks to boxing later down the line, could you see PFL trying to put on a boxing promotion with another one of their fighters in Jake Paul? I know
In what? Sorry.
in Jake Paul, because he signed a
Oh,
PFL as well for MMA. Now, could they look at that as a bit of a moneymaker, a bit of a business head on? Would they look to potentially put those two together?
yeah, 100%. Not being funny. Um, Tommy Fury and KSI the other week done 1.6 million buys. 1.6 million buys for people who don't know is a really is like a McGregor UFC. That's like 1.6 million. It's massive. So they've got Jake Paul there, who's one of the top dogs with that um with that YouTuber boxing, whatever you want to call it. And they've obviously signed him for a reason. They haven't just signed him because it looks good on his resume. They've obviously got plans for that. So I think the PFL are in a great place. They've got um deep pockets. Now they've got not only have they got um Ngannou, who's the best heavyweight on the planet in MMA, but he's just fought and had a top fight with the best boxer on the planet, heavyweight, and they've got him and they can do what he want with him and he can open doors for him and they've got a lot of options with a lot of things. So yeah, God knows what the PFL have got planning, but they've got a lot of paths they can go.
Would you like to see, from a fan perspective, a high level event with boxing and MMA? So let's say Ngannou, Jake Paul in boxing. They've also got Cressida Shields and Savannah Marshall signed up to PFL as well, don't forget. But if there's to throw in some MMA fights on the undercard as well as one big combat sport event, would that be something that would appeal to you personally, Jack?
Yeah, of course. At the end of the day, you've got people stood there slapping each other on the stage, and in some shows, and you've got tag team boxing and all this and all. It's all kind of, but people just love watching fighting. And if the PFL have got top boxing, top MMA guys, and they can mix that together, then yeah, of course, it'd be different. And I think it'd be a success. And you could get guys who were fighting boxing and then fighting that. One thing I've done a lot of things in fighting in my career. What I've wanted to tick off, but I've always wanted to fight like twice on the same night. So I'd love to have an MMA fight and then have a boxing fight, or the other way around on the same night. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of fun. There's fun stuff you can do like that as well. But the PFL are like with the options they've got, they're in a good place for the fans anyway. And I think that if you look at the production and the way they put shows on and the tournament structure that they've got, they're doing it a bit different. So I think with that, with deep pockets and they're looking to not remake the wheel, but they're just trying stuff, and people like um new things, don't they? People like fresh new toys. So we'll see what they come up with.
Definitely. Well, Jack, thank you very much again for your time as always. We'll see you again in a fortnight for the next episode of Slothboxx MMA Show.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I'll see you all in 2 weeks.